Hello, citizens of the multiverse, and welcome to Dark Knight Nation for this episode of Comics Insider, the show where we like to break down, discuss, and analyze all the things about your favorite comics that make it work, and give feedback to the things that might not make it work. So today we're going to be discussing the first 4 issues, the Donny Cates Thor run with art by Nick Klein. This has been a review that I've definitely been looking forward to, and I wanted to get this out to you guys before issue 5 hits the stands, which I believe it does so in a week or two. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this story, please make sure to go support your local comic book store and pick up the first 4 issues if you can, as well as issue 5 in the coming week or so. Now, you can do that at your local comic book store, but if you want to do it at mine, you can go hit up AJ's Comics using the link in the description below. They are my sponsor for the channel, and if you do enjoy this video, they're giving me an opportunity to give you guys a free digital copy of Thor #1, which is awesome. And in order to do that, we have to hit a like goal of at least 30 likes within the first 3 days or so. So if you enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like. It is a huge help. Subscribe down to the channel for more content like this. And of course, please share this video with your friends. Even if it's just 1, 2, 3 friends, it is a big help to get these videos circulated. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into this video. The first issue of this Thor run opens up with Mjolnir flying throughout the 10 realms with the newly crowned All-Father's declaration of peace before it finally hits its destination on Earth, pummeling through a monstrous threat to the Avengers on Earth. Now, although becoming King of Asgard has been a dream of Thor's since childhood, he mourns the loss of his freedom, and he reveals that the new Asgard has been rebuilt in his image, and his Asgard kind of lacks the grandeur of his father's gold and jewels, but kind of opts in for more stone and wood grown from the world tree itself. Picking up with Thor himself, Loki pops out of the shadows, antagonizing him before his big address to the Asgardian people, and he notices Thor's grunt when picking the hammer back up. Now, one key thing to pay attention to here is that the hammer is growing more and more difficult for Thor to wield, but we don't know quite why that is. In a show of strength, Thor hurls Mjolnir at his brother and stops it just short of Loki's face, warning him of the accumulated power now that he is both the god of thunder but the All-Father of Asgard. Thor disregards his fear-stricken brother and makes his way outside to address the crowd of Asgardians when suddenly a frostbitten Galactus plummets to the ground in calamity. In a rage, Thor leaps at the fallen Galactus with a roaring thunder in his hands, only stopping to heed Galactus' begging for help. The Star Plague, the Great Black Winter, is coming. In the weeks since the death and destruction of Galactus' great fall, a frozen rot has permeated the godly realm of Asgard, running through the roots of the world tree Yggdrasil. We find Thor high in his castle meeting a council of previous heralds of Galactus. Just then, the Silver Surfer arrives to inform Thor that the Black Winter is the end of everything. It's the perpetrator of the genocide of Galactus' homeworld. The Surfer informs Thor that Galactus must consume 5 worlds with unique energy signatures in order to gain the power to stop the Star Plague. Thor recognizes the necessary sacrifice and tells his council of heralds that he will accompany Galactus to ensure that the inhabitants of the targeted planets are safe. Galactus recounts his encounter with the Black Winter when he was a mere mortal and the one just weeks prior. We learn the Black Plague takes the form of the Observer's true death, and for Galactus, it was once a great black hole, and now he sees Thor. As the issue comes to a close, Galactus acknowledges Thor's utility overall, blasting him with the power cosmic and granting him the power of a Herald of Galactus. Moving on into the next part, issue 2 opens up with the Black Plague falling upon an unnamed universe, its protectors resembling those of the DC Universe's greatest heroes, racing to stop the Star Plague. Ultimately, their efforts are futile. To them, Cates cleverly points towards Darkseid as the embodiment of their true end. We pick back up with Thor in the vacuum of space, observing the first planet to be consumed by Galactus, Clips. Watching the planet's inhabitants guilts the All-Father to try and convince Galactus to leave them be, but to no avail. In order to put an end to the Black Winter, the consumption of all 5 planets are necessary. Galactus threatens Thor if he doesn't comply, and in revolt, the Herald of Thunder launches his mighty, ever-heavying hammer through the massive cosmic entity's hand. As Galactus prepares to launch an attack of cosmic scale, Thor's trusty hammer returns back to him, smashing through the left knee of the cosmic giant. King Thor is suddenly blindsided by an attack from the god-fearing inhabitants of the planet. As they keep him distracted, Thor hears the rumbling of the planet's consumption. Without a second to waste, All-Father Thor sends his ravens to commune with Lady Sif, the new guardian of the Bifrost, pleading with her to open the bridge to the hostile inhabitants. Just as the planet's life is siphoned into Galactus, Calypso's natives are transported safely to Asgard. And when all is thought to be done, Galactus' hunger shows no bounds, eradicating the planet completely, disregarding the objection of Thor. Just as a powered-up Galactus looks to counter his Herald, he's bombarded with numerous blasts from a mysterious aggressor, revealed to be Beta Ray Bill. Picking up with issue 3, the narrator reminisces of Thor's past, highlighting memories lost within the near eternity of his life. Thor has fought innumerable battles, some for days, some weeks, even years, but to be remembered at all, they must truly be great. And what is to come will supposedly be ingrained in the Cosmic King's memories for the rest of his days. In the present, the newly arrived Beta Ray Bill pleads with Thor to stand aside from his assault on Galactus. However, a reluctant Thor knows what must be done, and that unfortunately means serving to shepherd the destruction of another 4 worlds. Bill charges at his brother-in-arms, hoping to find an appeal to his friend, but is met with an effortlessly powerful backhand, careening him towards a nearby moon. Thor urges his friend to stand down, sheathing the power cosmic given to him in order to convey to Bill that he is in full control. While the Allfather is focused on Beta Ray Bill, a displeased Galactus strikes him from behind. As Thor fights back Galactus' efforts to retake his power cosmic, he's sucker punched by Bill, resulting in a back and forth between the two. Thor's former brother-in-arms is repulsed to learn that his friend is acting of his own free will, questioning his worthiness to wield Mjolnir. A reserved Thor battles back at Bill, trying to explain the dire circumstances surrounding his partnership with the Devourer of Worlds, but it does not calm Beta Ray's shame of him. On the receiving end of a catapulted Mjolnir, the ever-worthy Beta Ray Bill stops the hammer in its tracks, refusing to let it go. In return, Thor calls Bill's Stormbreaker to him, charges towards his friend, and demolishes it over top of his own hammer, resulting in a blast of force that knocks Beta Ray Bill to the ground in defeat. Thor raises his hammer, begging Bill to yield, but is scorned again by his friend. Before he crashes his hammer down, the Allfather hesitates, allowing just enough time for Lady Sif to use the Bifrost to intervene. Moving on into the final part of this review, issue 4 opens up with a mysterious narrator developing more of the stakes surrounding the Black Winter. As Nick Klein's visuals display a blackened and rotten Yggdrasil, the narrator explains where Ragnarok embodies the cycle of death and rebirth, the Black Winter is an endless void that devours all light. In the present, Lady Sif defies her king's orders to stand aside and pledges to take the wounded Beta Ray Bill under her protection. An agitated Thor responds by hurling his hammer towards them, but the mighty mallet is blocked by a stream of the Bifrost and is teleported to the frozen landscape of Jotunheim. Thor angrily strides towards the two, howling that his father would never stand for this disobedience. Sif retorts candidly, arguing that he's better than his father ever was. She says that the worthiness should no longer be his concern, as he's earned it by being himself, but he risks it all due to his insecurity. Back in Jotunheim, the now king of the frost giants Loki hefts the hammer with ease, as the narrator informs us of the ambiguous nature of its worthiness enchantment. On the battle-scarred moon of Clips, Galactus has grown bored of the Asgardian squabbles and urges Thor to continue on. The pacified Allfather commands that Sif return to Asgard with the wounded Bill and recalls Mjolnir back to him, only to blindside Galactus by reclaiming the power cosmic by force. Galactus and his Herald traverse the galaxy, absorbing the power of the next 3 out of the 4 remaining planets. The first is uninhabited, the second was home to a race of precognitive beings who'd evacuated before the pair had arrived, and the third's inhabitants willfully emigrate in service of the Allfather, serving as another black stain on his soul. The Herald of Thunder and insatiable Devourer arrived at the 5th and final planet. Of course, Thor treats with the planet's leaders to evacuate, but they refuse. Contrary to expectation, though, they will not object to the destruction of their home, as they're fully aware of what it is destined to do. Just as Thor re-ups on his plea for them to leave, Galactus hastily begins to consume the planet in response to the encroaching black winter in the dead of space. Thor races to Galactus to stop him before he himself gazes upon the never-ending darkness of the galactic plague, stopping him right in his tracks. Although Galactus is nearly done consuming the energy of the planet, he's too late as the black winter sets itself upon Cryo and its people. A conflicted King Thor blindfolds himself, summoning a roaring cosmic storm to pierce through the never-ending darkness and buy Galactus the necessary time to finish. The cosmic thunder god blasts the half-plagued planet in a reluctant but merciful strike, smiting the planet entirely. He weeps, blindfolded at the repercussions of his actions, asserting to Galactus that when this war is over, that he'll answer for all the lives he's taken in this crusade. Until then, the divine pair stare down the embodiment of the Black Winter, floating before them in the dead of space, closing out the issue. Alright, so now that we've done a baseline summary of the story, I really enjoyed it. I had some very high hopes leading into Donny Cates' Thor run, just by virtue of what he'd been doing on Venom and all of his indie stuff, on top of Cosmic Ghost Rider, Thanos wins, all of those shenanigans. And he did not disappoint. Now, Nick Klein is an artist that prior to this project I was pretty unfamiliar with, but he absolutely delivers. Overall, this was very good, and I would highly recommend that you guys read it. I loved the kind of strong, persisting metaphor of Thor taking the throne and struggling to kind of assume the responsibilities and the prestige of it in the same way that Donny Cates took over Thor after Jason Aaron's seminal run. You can really see Donny putting himself into the character, and I love how clear that is. Thor, per usual, questions his worthiness, but as All-Father now, and not just, in the sense of wielding Mjolnir, but it's attacked kind of at both ends, because we now know that there's something up with the worthiness enchantment surrounding the hammer, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for Thor to wield it. And I like how that kind of subplot line, in accordance with the stakes surrounding the Black Plague, kind of run throughout the story, and it continues to build excitement while we're excited for the main plot of the story. It's excellently done and well layered in that way, so that we're always kept on the edge of our seats. That's exactly what a storyteller, especially a comic book storyteller, should be doing, and Donny Cates absolutely kills it in that regard. The suspense is super well built, and the cliffhangers at the end of each issue are super strong. I hated having to read this issue by issue, but I had to pick it up and read it as soon as it hit the shelves every time it did, because it was that good and he had me wanting more. I really kind of like the idea of how tortured Thor would be assuming the throne. It's something that he's wanted since childhood, which kind of represents multiple millennia, and it adds a lot of depth to the character, because it's kind of him getting the one thing he's always wanted and realizing that with it comes something that he's entirely unprepared to do. Not to mention still living in the shadow of his father even after Odin is deceased. Now, just generally speaking, the characterization is super strong. I feel like while this is a slightly different Thor than what we're used to, it very much feels like the character under this context. The atmosphere that Donny Cates and Nick Klein are setting here really keeps the tension high, but it also allows for a minimal barrier of entry to follow Thor and to get into how he's feeling. Nick Klein does a very good job at keeping Thor emotive throughout, and Donny Cates' script really helps to push that through. This story also deals with numerous themes, from guilt, fear, sacrifice, risk versus reward, of course, concepts of what it means to be worthy. And one thing I can really appreciate is that Donny Cates in this series so far has found the perfect merger of in-depth artistic storytelling, pushing and recontextualizing the characters' emotional boundaries with the bombast, grandiose cinema that is like cosmic comic books. It is so well blended together, and that's exactly what I want out of a Thor book. And from these first couple issues, I really feel like Donny Cates is setting himself up to have an all-time great Thor run. I know this is one of his favorite characters, and it's one that he's kind of been preparing to write for a long time, and it is really following through. Now, regarding art specifically, Nick Klein is super smart about his shot compositions, and it's in a way that accentuates both kind of the dramatic dialogue, the character moments, and the big, cosmic, grandiose, kinetic action scenes. The way he orients the panels and composes them in his layout really helped to push things through. And at no point did I ever feel like any of those choices were moving against the flow of the story. They actually really helped to drive it forward. So kudos to him. And I have to say, these character designs are something I'm really vibing. It's more of a personal thing than it is like me trying to make any objective critique, but I do really enjoy the character designs here. Overall, I'd have to give this story a sound 9.5 as of right now. I think this story is really well paced, every issue reads quickly, and it's a combination of obviously scripting, but Nick Klein taking a more cinematic approach to the storytelling, allowing for larger panel space and these bigger shots to be taken up, which I think really works for this story, both in style and pace. Donny keeps the stakes rapidly growing throughout the story in every which way. We have the question of Thor's worthiness in the hammer, Loki lifting the hammer, obviously the tension of the encroaching black plague coming, and then the choice, the heartbreaking choice that Thor has to make towards the end of issue 4, his battle with one of his closest friends. It is constantly rising, and I really hope that it all pays off. I trust Donny, so at this point I would venture to say that it will, which definitely gets me excited for the future. Again, what is perfect for me is that wonderful blend of artistic storytelling and comic book bombast, man. They really knock it out of the park. I would definitely recommend that you guys pull this book 100%. Now, let me give you guys the information for you to enter and to win a free copy of Thor #1 from AJ's Comics in Colchester, Connecticut. In order to do that, we have to hit 30 likes within 3 days of this video posting. You must be subscribed to the channel and comment down below letting me know what you think Donny is going to do about Beta Ray Bill's weapon. Is he going to recraft Stormbreaker? Are we going to get something new? Will he get Mjolnir, seeing how Thor's decreasing ability to wield it is becoming super evident? I don't know. Let me know down below. I have a couple disparate thoughts, but no hill I'm willing to die on here. And please make sure you guys check out AJ's Comics. You can find the link to their website in the description and their Twitter as well. Go give them a follow. It's all because of them that I'm able to do these things. And if you need a local comic book store for yourself, but maybe you might not be near a local comic book store, these guys do a really great mail-away subscription service where you get 10% off anything in the store. They'll ship you your comics, and any order $100 or more, the shipping is completely free no matter where in the United States, even if you're on a United States military base overseas, which is excellent. You can delay the shipment so that they accumulate into $100 if you want to wait and save on shipping, which is super cool. A lot of great options, so I highly recommend you guys check them out. And at the end of the day, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please plug. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share this video with any and all people you think might enjoy it. I super appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next episode from Dark Knight Nation. Thanks for watching.